Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. Today on the channel we're going to try to make a charcoal burner here for the farm. So come along and see if we can get it done. So we recently purchased a charcoal smoker that actually uses lump coal, doesn't use charcoal briquettes. And I've just been amazed by the difference in flavor that comes from that. But charcoal has uses on the farm, not just for smoking meat. It also has a lot of garden uses, and then even the pigs like it. Sometimes you feed charcoal to your pigs, and that helps them out with digestive issues. But lump coal is pretty expensive. In fact, it was, when I bought my smoker, it was about $15 a bag. And it looks like a big feed sack size bag, but of course it's super light. I mean, there's not much to it. And now that same bag is up to $25. So I've been wanting to put together my own charcoal cooker, if you will, and this has motivated me to do it even more. So I'm going to get some parts together here and see what we can come up with. Of course, there's a simple way to make charcoal. We could obviously just build a fire, burn the wood that we want, and just try to extinguish it before it all burns up. The issue with that is, A, it's not very efficient because you may lose too much. B, you may get some that's not all the way cooked all the way through, if you will, to where it's just the carbon. And you can end up having an issue, especially in like my gravity-fed smoker, where if you had some live wood in there, that could actually cause it to get too hot. So what we're going to do is actually cook it. And we're going to use these two barrels. So I got a 55-gallon drum that has the removable top, and it has a solid bottom, although it actually has a hole in the bottom. It rusted out. And then I bought a used, albeit new, 30-gallon drum. Yow! And this one has the removable ring with the lid, so you can see it's nice and solid. It even has a rubber gasket in the lid, which we're going to take that out. So the idea is to put all of our good quality wood that we want to make charcoal out of, so that would be our oaks and our ash and a hickory and all that stuff, put it in there, put the lid on it, and we're not looking to make something super airtight because obviously we don't want to create an explosion, but we want to keep the flames out of it so that it cooks out all of the all the non-carbon stuff. So it cooks out all the organic and leaves us with some nice charcoal. And the 55-gallon drum, I think what I'm going to do, I keep thinking through this, I think I'm going to cut the bottom out of it, raise it up so that it's almost like a chimney effect. So as we place the 30-gallon down inside of it, we'll have a couple bars across that'll hold it up. If we elevate that, then we'll get that chimney effect, get a fire underneath it, and it should get a really nice fire going to cook everything out. So the first thing we need to do is take care of the 55-gallon drum and get it in the condition we want it.
Look what Kelly got me for Christmas. My favorite color.
So here's what I'm thinking. Obviously the 30-gallon fits perfectly down in the 55-gallon, has maybe a 3-inch gap all the way around. So to elevate it, since I'm going to elevate this bucket, this is the bottom, then I'm going to weld on these pieces of angle iron like so, clean them up a little bit. And so as I set the barrel down in it, again, imagine this flipped upside down, then it'll rest on those, like a little shelf, it'll rest on these two rails and stay elevated. And then we've got some additional angle iron, got some heavy stuff there that I'll come back and weld on the sides like legs. We'll do 3 legs, and that'll stand it up off the ground. And it keeps it from being too heavy that I can't move it around either. So let's just get my grinding wheel out here, my wire wheel, and see if I can clean this up so the weld will stick. Well, I think that's going to work. It kind of looks like Foster Brooks School of Welding, but I think that's going to work. So you can see how the 30-gallon drum fits down in there and rests on our rails. So there's a little bit of gap all the way around. And it gives me enough room, obviously, even for the lid ring to be on. So fill it up, put it in there, or put the lid on it, then put it in there, and then start the fire. The only thing I got to watch is not to make it too heavy that I can't lift it up in there. I went with 20 inches of leg height and then buried 3.5 on the side. So what is that, 16.5 inches off the ground. But I didn't, I can always come back and cut legs off if I need to make it shorter, but it's much tougher to put legs back on. So I figured we'll try it that way. If there's too much wind or too much heat loss, then I'll cut them off and try that. So next I'm going to get the, I need to get that gasket, rubber gasket out of that lid. I don't think I want to do a test fire with that in there because it'll get pretty melty and gooey, and it's going to be destroyed immediately. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out. It seems almost a shame. Oh well. I got this can. It's I don't think it's had anything in it. I think it was $30, so not a bad deal at all. All right, I want to take a quick break just to recognize the sponsor of this specific video, and that is a yard tool company called ImoumLive. I think that's the correct pronunciation of it. And they sent me this 8-inch battery-powered chainsaw, kind of a mini chainsaw, a little pruning saw. And if you guys watch the channel, you know I use chainsaw a lot, use my steel constantly. And so I've always been a little hesitant to even play around with these things. What's the point? If I've got a big chainsaw, why do I need an electric? But I've actually had some fun with this thing, and it's you can kind of see it's super compact. Has a rechargeable battery, of course, all the typical things you'd expect, and oiler, 8-inch bar with an 8-inch chain, and you'll see me actually using it in this video. And it's come in handy, but what I really like about it is modular, and the fact that you can take it apart and slide it on their extension pole and put the battery on the end. And now we've got a fully functioning pole saw that extends. I believe the total extension is 9 feet. 9 feet of extension. And then of course by the time you factor in my height and the length of the chain and or the bar and everything, and then you even have an adjustable head here. You can push the button and adjust it. So you've got an opportunity to really reach out and cut something. so it's been fun to keep this in the kit. And again, it's not going to replace my gas chainsaw by any means, but it's been fun to kind of have in the kit to play around with as I go up to the road to the retreat, and some of those branches that hang over real far, I can simply just reach up there and zip and knock those down and not have to worry about trying to hold my big chainsaw, my big farm boss over my head. So it's been fun to have. So I'm going to post some links to all the details, of course, and you may be wondering, okay, what about replacement parts? Stuff like that needs to be replaced. They have replaceable batteries, they have chains and bars that you can buy. So they aren't one of those situations where you've got one thing and it's done. So check that out. The only complaint that I have, and it's a left-handed person living in a right-handed world, is that the little safety button here is on the right side. So it's more advantageous to be right-handed. When you're left-handed, you kind of have to. So I wish they had a pass-through button for us lefties, but you know what they say. People who use left hand are in their right mind. But check that out, and let's get back to our video. Wow. Even with that crosswind, still getting a really good chimney effect. You can see the smoke and of course tons of heat coming out of the top here. This wind's going to keep the fire rolling. All right, so it took me a while to get the fire going because everything I have is soaking wet with all the rain and snow that we've had. But I was able to get a pretty good burn going, got some of the wood piled up around it so it will dry out. And I thought, well, since I'm going to be here watching it anyway, let's go ahead and put some wood in it and just test it. Instead of just doing a dry burn or an empty burn, I went ahead and put some oak in it. So I'm going to pull this lid off. It's popping. I don't know if you can hear it. So I'm going to take the lid off real quick and take my laser thermometer and see if I can get a reading down there. So I can do this without blowing my face off. What? Put my daggone fingers. Yeah, so I'm getting a reading of anywhere from 300 to 400 degrees. Let me show you what the wood's looking like. When I crack that lid open, it's like sticking your face in a sauna, the amount of humidity comes out of there. So I'm going to put the lid back on it and maybe stoke the fire up more. I'm not quite sure how much further I'll go tonight with it, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so it's been a couple weeks since I actually started my first fire here. And honest with you, since I don't pull all the footage off my camera, I don't really remember where I left off, but bear with me. So I went ahead and put some oak firewood in there, and it was oak that I actually just cut out of logs. So it wasn't green, but it wasn't dry by any means. So I think I have 12 or 16 pieces in there. Did 2 different night burns. So started around 4 o'clock, stayed down to about 6 o'clock after dark. It kind of built up and then went up to the house. So I did that twice and checked on it. And we're really making great progress. The wood is no longer red, it's black, but it hasn't yet turned to charcoal. And I've already got another fire going. I'd open it up and show you, but I really want the reveal to be fantastic. But I'm documenting just how much time we're burning. So like today, came down here before noon, got a fire going with all the snow and rain we've been having. I mean, it's been tough to get a fire going, so I think I just now got it taken off. And what's funny is, I don't know if you can see through the smoke, but on this side, the water is actually steaming, so it's right at boiling, close to boiling, and over here, there's still an ice cube. So I'm trying to get the fire a little more localized. But it's working. It's definitely one of these projects that you want to be able to keep an eye on, of course, especially if you're in a dry area. Around here, it'd take napalm to set the woods on fire. But yeah, be something that you can kind of keep an eye on while you work on something else, because this is going to be a long process. All right, man, I got a really good fire going yesterday. In fact, I hated to leave it. In fact, I was a little worried about leaving it, to be honest with you. But discovered that if I was sticking some wet bark and those type of things even down in between the gap of the barrel and our actual crucible barrel, that really got the fire going around it. And you'll see in this footage here where the off-gassing coming out of the barrel, that's why we don't pressure, or that's why we don't seal it off completely. But the off-gassing was actually catching fire, and it was flaming up as it was coming out of the lip of the barrel lid, which was very cool. So I'm anxious to take the lid off this morning and see what we've got, because I think we may have had a winner there. Now keep in mind, the amount of wood I put in is going to be greatly reduced because there's been so much organic cooked out of it. So we're going to have less of a yield than what we put in. Oh yeah, man, this looks great. I really like how this turned out. Look at that. Nice and compact, clean, even packaged. That's how you have a good charcoal burner. No, everything I said was serious except for that pulling out there. But check this out. I don't know if that's going to show up. See how it just crumbles in my hand. And that came from that red oak log over there. Cut the end off of it and split it. That's what that came from. So even these larger chunks of wood, they are cooked down to nothing. So this is exciting. Honestly, wasn't quite sure I was going to be able to get this done without burning half of that pile over there. But it shows me that it's not necessarily the length as much as it is the intensity of the fire to begin with. So with this barrel and these legs, that's just a fire underneath it, and that 35-gallon drum full of wood is not going to be enough fire. So I'm going to have to build around it. You can see here how I started stacking the wood up around it. So it would actually not only keep the fire more condensed inside the drum, but of course it just provided more fuel to burn. So it got to where the paint just started flying off of this barrel. This is completely denuded of paint where the paint blistered. And then you'll see in this one shot where the barrel actually started glowing red. It was that hot. The outside barrel was just really getting hot. So let's package this up and let's see what we've got. I'm going to use some of our old pig feed sacks here. So this is crazy. Here's even some bark that came off. And so it didn't burn up at all, but it is paper lightweight. You can see it'll just crumbles in my hand. Keep every bit of that thing. All right, if I had to guess, I'd say that's probably about 30 pounds, 25 or 30 pounds. Let me show you. This is what I normally buy when I go to the store and buy it. This is what I normally buy at the box store. And yeah, it's got some larger chunk pieces in it. That's what you're really looking for when you have good charcoal, is you want bigger pieces. And yeah, this is one of the biggest pieces in the bag, and I've got way bigger than that. And this 15-pound bag is now up to $25. During barbecue season, it's like, 15 bucks, but right now it's $25, which is a lot for just 15 pounds of charcoal. That's maybe four good burns or less, depending on how long I'm leaving stuff on the smoker. So I think what I've produced here is, well worth the money. Now factor in the cost, the 55-gallon drum I had, but even if you need to buy used, you can get those for 25 bucks. Brand new food grade 35-gallon, I think was 30 bucks. And then just the metal I had laying around. So really excited with that. So I think this evening we're planning to do burgers on the smoker, so I'm going to try it with my new charcoal here, so I'll make sure to include you guys in that. But I think I'm going to get another fire going. One thing I'd probably do differently is deal in smaller chunks, and that's going to be able to cook that organic out of those pieces quicker. So I had long quarters of firewood. I think if I'm going to maybe cut these into rounds and then split the rounds, try that. So I'm going to show you how I prep those. All right, so got quarters, varying sizes. I think once I figure out what size works the best, then you want to be uniform throughout. That would probably guarantee everything's cooked out the same way. That's about 3/4 full. So I'm gonna get a fire going. I'm not gonna take you all through this all again. Obviously, we'll fast forward to where we're using our finished stuff on the smoker tonight. Really turned out good, and that was about 3 handfuls of coals to be able to get my burgers going. So really excited with how that's going to produce some good charcoal for us. Can't wait to actually get some stuff smoking on there. We may feature that in the future. We'll see. Well, I appreciate everybody watching. Y'all take care.